The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of energy that flows through stars, planets, and the vast emptiness between worlds. For millennia, the Jedi have studied this mystical power, seeking harmony and balance. But what happens when something from beyond the stars arrives? Something that doesn't answer to the Force at all. Reed Richards stood before the Source Dimension projector, his eyes reflecting the cascading data streams that filled the laboratory screens. The Baxter Building's most advanced sensors had detected something impossible, a cosmic signature identical to the radiation storm that had transformed him and his family years ago. Not similar, identical. "Reed, are you sure about this?" Sue Storm's voice carried concern as she watched her husband make final adjustments to the massive dimensional array that dominated the lab. Crystalline energy collectors hummed with building power, their surfaces refracting light in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "The math is perfect, Sue." Reed's fingers stretched impossibly across 3 separate control panels simultaneously, his elastic body moving with practiced efficiency. "This signal, it's not just similar to our origin radiation. It's the same quantum frequency, resonating across dimensional barriers. Whatever gave us our powers, the true source, it exists somewhere beyond our universe." Johnny Storm leaned against the reinforced observation window, flames dancing absently across his shoulders. "So we're basically knocking on the door of God's science lab? Cool. What could possibly go wrong?" "Everything," Ben Grimm rumbled from his position near the emergency containment systems. The thing's rocky orange features creased with worry. "Reed, I've seen that look before. Right before we flew into the cosmic storm. Right before our lives changed forever." Reed turned to face his oldest friend, his expression serious. "Ben, this could answer the fundamental question we've been asking for years. Why us? Why did that specific radiation give us these specific powers? What if it wasn't random? What if there's a pattern, a cosmic blueprint we're part of?" The Source Dimension projector began its initialization sequence. Energy readings climbed exponentially as the machine pierced through the barriers between universes, reaching across the vast emptiness that separated one reality from another. For a moment, everything seemed to work perfectly. Then the signal responded. A pulse of impossible cosmic energy erupted from the dimensional aperture. Not the controlled, measured frequency Reed had anticipated, but a tsunami of raw, primordial power that made the cosmic storm that created them look like a candle flame. The laboratory's containment fields shattered instantly. Alarms shrieked as reality itself began tearing at the seams. "Sue! Shields! Now!" Reed shouted, his body already stretching to reach the emergency shutdown, but the distance kept expanding as space itself warped around them. Sue Storm threw her hands forward, generating a force field that encapsulated all 4 of them, just as the Baxter Building's walls began disintegrating. Her invisible barriers held against the onslaught, but barely. She could feel the cosmic energy hammering against her protection like nothing she'd ever encountered. This wasn't kinetic force or thermal energy. This was something older. Johnny blazed into full nova form, his flames instinctively flaring to maximum intensity. But instead of pushing back the cosmic storm, his fire seemed to resonate with it, creating a feedback loop that pulled them toward the dimensional breach. "Reed! Whatever that thing is, it wants us!" Ben anchored himself to the floor, his immense strength keeping them from being immediately pulled through, but even his rock-solid grip began sliding across the buckling metal. "Can't hold much longer." The dimensional vortex expanded, no longer a controlled aperture, but a ravenous wound in the fabric of space-time. Through the swirling chaos of cosmic radiation and collapsing quantum states, Reed saw something that made his brilliant mind stagger. Patterns. mathematical structures that shouldn't exist, energy signatures that predated the Big Bang itself. "It's not destroying us," Reed breathed in sudden realization. "It's recognizing us." Before anyone could respond, the vortex swallowed them whole. The transition felt like being simultaneously stretched across infinite distance and compressed into a single point. Sue's force fields blazed with power she didn't know she possessed. Johnny's flames burned colors that didn't exist in the visible spectrum. Ben's rocky form became briefly translucent, revealing energy patterns flowing through his body like circuitry. And Reed experienced every possible configuration of his elastic molecules across 1,000 dimensions at once. Then, silence. The Fantastic Four materialized 10 feet above ancient stone and crashed down hard. Sue's shields absorbed most of the impact, flickering out only after everyone was safely on solid ground. They lay there for a moment, stunned, as their bodies adjusted to wherever or whenever they had arrived. Ben was first to move, pushing himself up with a groan. "Everyone alive? Reed, you better have a good explanation for—" He froze, his rocky jaw dropping open. "Oh no! Oh no!" The others rose and turned to see what had stopped Ben mid-sentence. They stood in a vast temple chamber, its walls covered in ancient murals that glowed with faint bioluminescence. The architecture was unlike anything from Earth, sweeping curves and geometric precision that seemed both organic and impossibly advanced. Crystalline formations grew from the floor like frozen gardens, humming with residual energy. The air itself felt thick, charged with something invisible yet undeniably present. But it was the mural directly before them that stole their breath. 4 figures, each easily 50 feet tall, dominated the temple wall. The first stretched its limbs across stars. The second wielded barriers of pure light against cosmic darkness. The third burned with the intensity of a newborn sun. The fourth stood immovable as mountains crumbled around it. The resemblance wasn't symbolic or metaphorical. The 4 figures were them. "Reed," Sue whispered, her voice barely audible in the temple's eerie quiet. "What is this place?" Reed's mind raced through possibilities, each more impossible than the last. He approached the mural, his hand stretching to touch the ancient stone. The moment his fingers made contact, the entire temple thrummed with power. Light cascaded through crystalline conduits in the walls. Symbols he didn't recognize yet somehow understood began appearing throughout the chamber. And somewhere, far across the galaxy, in a meditation chamber on Coruscant, Jedi Master Yoda's eyes snapped open. "A disturbance in the Force," he whispered, his ancient voice trembling with something he hadn't felt in centuries. "Something older than the Force itself has awakened." If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The Force rippled across the galaxy like a stone thrown into still water, sending tremors through every Force-sensitive being from the brightest Jedi to the darkest practitioners of the Sith arts. In meditation chambers, training halls, and hidden sanctuaries, those attuned to the mystical energy field felt the disturbance simultaneously. A sensation of something ancient, powerful, and utterly wrong entering their reality. On Coruscant, the Jedi Council convened in emergency session. The circular chamber, usually a place of calm deliberation, crackled with tension as 12 of the Order's wisest members struggled to comprehend what they'd felt. "Unprecedented, this disturbance is," Yoda said from his council seat, his ears drooping with concern. "A wound in the Force, yet not a wound. An arrival, perhaps. Something that should not be, yet is." Mace Windu leaned forward, his expression grave. "I felt it too, Master Yoda. But it wasn't darkness, not like the Sith. It was—" he struggled for words. "Foreign, as if the Force itself recoiled from something it couldn't comprehend. "The archives mention ancient prophecies," Master Plo Koon offered, his voice filtered through his breathing apparatus. "Legends of beings from beyond the stars. Most dismissed them as mythology." "Perhaps we dismissed them too quickly," Mace replied. Meanwhile, in the forgotten temple where the Fantastic Four had emerged, Reed Richards worked with frantic intensity. He'd produced a handheld scanner from his uniform's hidden compartments, one of his own designs, naturally, and was taking readings of everything around them. "This is remarkable," Reed muttered, more to himself than the others. His scanner beeped and chirped as it processed data. "The energy permeating this structure, it's not electromagnetic, not nuclear, not even dark matter. It's something else entirely. A fifth fundamental force?" "Reed, focus!" Sue moved beside him, her tactical mind already assessing their situation. "We need to figure out where we are and how to get home. The murals can wait." "Can they?" Reed turned the scanner toward the wall, depicting the four cosmic beings. "Sue, these aren't just paintings. They're encoded with data, layered information stored in the pigments themselves. Whoever created this knew we were coming, or knew something like us would arrive." Johnny floated near the chamber's ceiling, small flames trailing from his feet as he examined the crystalline structures growing from the walls. "Guys, I don't want to freak anyone out more than we already are, but these crystal things, they're reacting to me." He extended a finger, letting a small flame dance on its tip. Immediately, the nearest crystals pulsed with corresponding light, humming with resonant energy. "Don't touch anything else," Sue called out, but it was too late. The temple responded to Johnny's flame like a key turning in a lock. Light cascaded through channels carved into the walls, racing along predetermined paths until the entire structure blazed with illumination. The humming grew louder, deeper, vibrating through their bones. And then, with a sound like reality sighing, a holocron activated in the chamber's center. The device rose from a hidden floor compartment, a pyramidal structure of dark metal and glowing amber energy. It hovered at eye level, rotating slowly, before projecting an image into the air, a robed figure whose species none of them recognized, with elongated features and eyes that seemed to hold infinite sadness. "If you see this recording," the figure spoke in a language that shouldn't have been comprehensible yet somehow was, "then the prophecy has begun. The Four have returned, and with them, the celestial forge will awaken. The galaxy will reshape itself, or it will end. There is no third path." The hologram flickered, showing images, cosmic storms, battles across star systems. The four figures from the mural standing before an enormous structure that seemed to bend space around itself. Then, it showed something that made Reed's blood run cold. The same cosmic radiation signature that had transformed them, but here, in this galaxy, billions of years ago. "When the first light touched this universe," the hologram continued, "it birthed what you call the Force, but the light was not whole. Part of it scattered across the dimensional void, seeking something. Balance, perhaps. Completion. You carry that scattered essence. You are the missing pieces of creation itself." The hologram disappeared, leaving them in stunned silence. "Okay," Ben finally said, his voice unusually quiet. "So we're not just lost. We're prophesied. That's just great." Before anyone could respond, the temple doors exploded inward. A dozen figures in flowing robes materialized in the entrance. Lightsabers ignited, blades of blue, green, and purple plasma that cast dancing shadows across the ancient walls. At their head stood a Kel-Dor Jedi Master, his breathing mask giving his voice a mechanical edge. "By authority of the Jedi Council," he announced, "you will come with us. Your presence has disrupted the Force itself. We must understand what you are and why you're here." Sue immediately stepped forward, her hands raised in a peaceful gesture, but Reed could see the telltale shimmer around her that meant she'd already generated an invisible force field around their group. "We mean no harm. We're scientists, explorers. We didn't choose to come here. We were pulled through a dimensional breach." "Scientists?" The Jedi Master's tone suggested skepticism. "You stand in a temple sealed for 10,000 years, one that opened only at your arrival. You match descriptions from prophecies older than our order, and the Force itself screams at your presence." His lightsaber didn't lower. "You are either saviors or destroyers. The Council will determine which." Johnny's flames flickered to life, instinctive and defensive. "Listen, Darth, whoever you are, we're not going anywhere until—" The Jedi moved faster than any of them expected. One moment, they stood at the doorway. The next, they'd crossed the chamber using Force-enhanced speed, surrounding the Fantastic Four in a circle of plasma blades. But when the lead Jedi reached out with the Force to restrain them, something impossible happened. His power simply stopped, like hitting an invisible wall. Sue's force field didn't just block physical attacks. It completely negated his force push. The Jedi Master stumbled backward, genuine shock breaking through his disciplined composure. What are you?" he breathed. Reed's scanner chirped urgently. "Sue, your shields. They're not just blocking kinetic energy. They're creating a null zone in whatever energy field permeates this place. You're canceling out their power source." "Impossible," the Jedi Master whispered. But his lightsaber trembled in his hand. In that moment of stunned realization, before anyone could speak or move, a new presence made itself known. A cold, calculating intelligence that had been watching, waiting, measuring. From the shadows beyond the temple entrance, a figure in dark robes emerged, their face hidden beneath a hood. When they spoke, their voice carried the weight of ancient hunger. How fascinating! The prophecy was true after all, the four who exist beyond the Force. A pale hand emerged from the robes, fingers crackling with red electricity. "The Jedi want to study you, but I want to use you." The Sith had arrived. The temperature in the ancient temple plummeted as dark side energy flooded the chamber. The Jedi's lightsabers flickered in response to the oppressive presence, while the crystalline structures along the walls pulsed with erratic, violent light. The Fantastic Four found themselves caught between two forces they didn't understand, in a galaxy that wasn't their own. "Fall back!" the Keldor Jedi Master commanded his team, his lightsaber shifting to a defensive stance. "Protect the Four. They must not fall into Sith hands." The hooded figure laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "Noble to the last, Jedi, but you felt it as I did. These beings are beyond your philosophy, beyond your precious balance." The Sith's hand extended, and crimson lightning arced toward the nearest Jedi Knight. Ben Grimm moved on pure instinct. His massive, rocky form intercepted the attack, his body absorbing the Force lightning like a grounding rod. The energy crackled across his orange stone hide, dissipating harmlessly into the temple floor. Ben grinned, his craggy features splitting into something between a smile and a snarl. "Nice light show, pal. My turn." He charged the Sith with surprising speed for someone his size, each footfall cracking the ancient stone. The Sith gestured dismissively, attempting to ragdoll Ben with a force push powerful enough to crush a speeder, but nothing happened. Ben's momentum didn't even slow. "What?" The Sith's shock lasted exactly as long as it took for Ben's massive fist to connect with their jaw, sending the dark figure flying backward through the temple entrance and into the jungle beyond. The Jedi stared in disbelief. Their leader's breathing mask couldn't hide his astonishment. Immune to the Force, completely immune. "Not immune," Reed corrected, his mind racing through observations even in the chaos. "Resistant. Whatever energy you're using, this Force, It can't find purchase on Ben's molecular structure. His cosmic radiation-altered physiology creates a natural barrier. "Reed, save the science lesson!" Johnny blazed upward, positioning himself near the ceiling. "We've got company!" More figures emerged from the jungle, Sith acolytes in dark armor, their red lightsabers casting bloody light across the temple steps. They moved with predatory grace, flanking the entrance while their master rose from the crater Ben had created, wiping dark blood from their split lip. "Impressive," the Sith hissed, their hood fallen back to reveal a Zabrak face covered in ritual tattoos. "But raw strength means nothing without understanding. You don't even know what you are, what you could become." His gaze fixed on Johnny, still hovering above. The boy burns with cosmic fire. Does he know his flames could ignite stars? Does he understand the power he denies himself? Johnny's flames intensified involuntarily, responding to the Sith's words, or perhaps to the darkness itself. For a moment, his fire flickered between its normal orange and an unsettling crimson that made even him uncomfortable. "Stay out of my head." "I'm not in your head," the Sith replied. "I'm showing you what you refuse to see. The Force recognizes darkness in all its forms. Your anger, your fear, your passion, they're doorways to true power." "Johnny, don't listen." Sue's voice cut through the manipulation. She'd studied interrogation techniques, psychological warfare. She recognized a predator testing for weakness. "He's trying to isolate you. We're stronger together. We've always been stronger together." The Jedi Master moved to stand beside Sue, his lightsaber steady. "The woman speaks wisdom. The dark side offers only corruption. If you truly are the Four from the prophecy, you must not fall to shadow." "And yet you surround them with weapons," the Sith countered. "You speak of protection while treating them as prisoners. At least I'm honest about my intentions. I want their power. The Celestial Forge has slept for millennia, waiting for the key that could unlock creation itself. They are that key." Reed's scanner emitted a sharp warning tone. "The Celestial Forge, that's what the hologram mentioned. What is it?" The Sith smiled, a predator scenting blood. "Knowledge the Jedi have kept hidden for 10,000 years. An ancient structure built by beings who existed before the Force took its current form. It was sealed because its power could reshape reality itself, or unmake it. The prophecy says only those who exist beyond the Force can activate it." His eyes gleamed with dark ambition. "You could remake this galaxy. You could become gods." "We don't want to be gods," Sue said firmly. "We want to go home." "Home?" the Sith laughed. "You still think of yourselves as victims of circumstance. But the Force, and I use that term loosely for what you truly are, doesn't make mistakes. You were pulled here because this galaxy needs you, or perhaps because you need it." The Keldor Master's voice carried warning. "Darth Nexus speaks half-truths wrapped in lies. The Celestial Forge is not a gift, it's a weapon, one that nearly destroyed our galaxy before. The Jedi sealed it because its power corrupts absolutely. Every being who's attempted to wield it has been consumed." "Every being who wielded the Force," Darth Nexus corrected. "But they don't. They're something else entirely. Something perfect." Reed's analytical mind cataloged everything. The architecture, the energy signatures, the way both Jedi and Sith spoke of the Force, as if it were a tangible force of nature rather than mysticism. Hypothesis formed and reformed in his brilliant consciousness. "This energy you call the Force. You treat it as fundamental to your reality, a binding force that connects all living things." "The Force is life itself," the Jedi Master confirmed. "It flows through every living being, connects all things." "Then that's the problem," Reed said slowly. "We're not from this reality. Our cellular structure, our powers, They're based on cosmic radiation from our universe's laws of physics. We're not connected to your force because we can't be. We're incompatible on a quantum level. Which makes you invaluable, Darth Nexus purred. Don't you understand? In a galaxy where everyone and everything is bound by the Force, you're the only ones truly free. The only ones who could wield the Forge without being destroyed by it. Sue felt the weight of the choice settling over them. The Jedi offered protection, but also restraint, study, control. The Sith offered power but demanded corruption, and neither truly cared about getting them home. Both saw them as tools for their eternal conflict. She looked at Reed, seeing the same calculation in his eyes. They needed information. They needed allies. But most of all, they needed to stay together. "We're not choosing," Sue announced, her voice carrying command she'd earned leading the Fantastic Four through countless crises. "Not the Jedi, not the Sith. We'll find our own path. We'll learn about this celestial forge, this prophecy, and we'll do it on our terms." "You think you have that luxury?" Darth Nexus raised his hand, and the Sith acolytes advanced. "You're the key to ultimate power. I'll take you apart piece by piece to understand how you work, and then..." Johnny dropped from the ceiling like a meteor, his flames exploding outward in a nova burst that sent Sith acolytes scrambling. "You want a piece of us? Let's see how you handle all four at once." The ancient temple became a battleground where science and mysticism collided in spectacular violence. The jungle planet's twin suns cast crimson light through the temple's shattered entrance as cosmic fire met force lightning in a clash that defied both universes' laws of physics. Johnny Storm's flames burned with intensity that made lightsaber plasma look dim by comparison, each blast forcing Sith acolytes to shield their eyes or risk permanent blindness. Yet Darth Nexus stood at the center of the chaos, studying rather than fleeing, his dark eyes tracking every movement with calculating precision. Reed stretched across the chamber, his elastic form weaving between combatants, reaching the ancient holocron still hovering at the room's center. "Sue, I need 30 seconds. Ben, Johnny, keep them occupied." "Occupied. I'll give 'em memorable." Ben charged through a cluster of Sith acolytes like a wrecking ball through tissue paper, their force pushes sliding off his rocky hide without effect. One acolyte tried to choke him with the force, fingers outstretched in concentration, only to watch in horror as Ben simply grinned and kept coming. The acolyte's telekinetic grip found nothing to grasp. Ben's cosmic-altered physiology existed in a state the Force couldn't recognize. The Jedi Master and his knights fought with disciplined precision, their lightsabers deflecting crimson blades in the forms passed down through millennia. But even their legendary focus faltered as they witnessed Sue Storm's power in action. She generated a massive force field dome that bisected the entire temple, separating Jedi and Sith forces while protecting her family at the barrier's epicenter. "Impossible," one Jedi Knight whispered. "She's not using the Force, yet she manipulates energy like a master." Sue's concentration remained absolute, but sweat beaded on her forehead. Maintaining a barrier this large pushed even her enhanced abilities. "Reed, whatever you're doing, do it faster!" Reed's fingers danced across the holocron's surface, his brilliant mind decoding information storage technology that predated Earth's existence by epochs. Data flooded his consciousness: star charts, energy signatures, historical records written in languages that shouldn't exist. And buried within the ancient device, a map. "I've got it!" Reed's voice carried excitement and horror in equal measure. "The Celestial Forge, it's not a legend, it's real and it's..." He trailed off, his face paling as the implications crystallized. "It's already active." Darth Nexus's laughter cut through the battle's chaos. "Finally, the genius sees the truth. The moment you arrived, the Forge began its awakening sequence. Every second you remain in this galaxy, it draws closer to full activation. Your very presence is the key turning in a lock that's been sealed since before my order existed. The Keldor Master's breathing mask couldn't hide his alarm. If the Forge awakens fully, the galaxy reshapes itself. Reed finished, his mind racing through scenarios. This structure, the Celestial Forge, it's a reality stabilizer, or maybe a reality destabilizer. The data suggests it was built by beings who could manipulate the fundamental forces of nature the way we manipulate matter and energy. The architects, the Jedi Master said quietly. Ancient beings who existed before the Force took its current form. They're mentioned only in our oldest texts, and even those are fragmentary. We believed them myth. They were very real, Reed countered, gesturing to the holocron's projections now filling the air around them. And they built the Forge as a failsafe, or perhaps a weapon, using cosmic radiation identical to what created us. Not coincidentally, deliberately. Someone or something knew that beings like us would eventually emerge, somewhere in the multiverse. The Forge was designed to recognize that specific energy signature. Darth Nexus stepped forward, his crimson lightsaber lowering slightly. Then you understand why I need you. Not want, need. The Forge is power beyond imagination. With it, the Sith could destroy yourselves, Sue interrupted, her force field still holding despite the strain. Every time someone talks about ultimate power, it ends the same way. Corruption, destruction. We've seen it before in our own universe. Your universe is not this one, Nexus replied. Here, the Force guides all things toward balance. Light and dark, creation and destruction, locked in eternal dance. But you exist outside that balance. You could tip the scales permanently. Imagine a galaxy free from the Jedi's stifling dogma, where true power flows to those strong enough to wield it. Johnny's flames flickered with uncertainty, responding to emotions he tried to suppress. The Sith's words carried weight, offered freedom from the Jedi's obvious mistrust. But then he caught Sue's eye, his sister, who'd raised him after their parents died, who'd never given up on him even when he screwed up. And the dark whispers lost their hold. Nice speech, Johnny said, his flames stabilizing into their normal orange hue. But I've got a better idea. How about you all back off, and we figure this out without anyone trying to use us as a cosmic battery? The Jedi Master's posture shifted, his lightsaber returning to a neutral position. The boy speaks wisdom. Perhaps we've approached this incorrectly. You're not weapons to be wielded or prisoners to be contained. You're... He struggled for words. People, caught in circumstances beyond your control. Finally, someone gets it, Ben rumbled, his massive form positioned protectively near Reed. But Darth Nexus wasn't finished. Noble sentiment, utterly impractical. The Forge awakens whether you cooperate or not. Every moment it draws power from the cosmic radiation embedded in your cells. You're broadcasting a signal across this galaxy, calling to technology that predates civilizations. Jedi and Sith alike will hunt you, not from malice, but from necessity. You've become the most valuable resource in the galaxy, Reed's scanner chirped urgently. He's right about the signal. I'm detecting a resonance pattern emanating from all four of us. It's subtle, but in a galaxy this densely populated with Force sensitives. He looked up, his expression grim. We're a beacon. Everyone who can sense the Force will feel our presence. As if summoning them with his words, the jungle erupted with new arrivals. Ships descended through the canopy, sleek vessels bearing markings Reed didn't recognize, but the Jedi Master clearly did. His breathing mask hissed with what might have been a curse. Mandalorians, he said flatly. Bounty hunters. Word has already spread. Through the temple's shattered entrance, armored figures appeared, their Beskar plating gleaming in the twin sun's light. At their head walked a warrior whose helmet bore the sigil of a legendary clan, T-shaped visor reflecting no emotion. "Stand down, Jedi. Stand down, Sith." The Mandalorian's voice carried mechanical filtering but unmistakable authority. "The Four are worth more than this entire system. We're taking them, alive, preferably. Dead works too, if you make this difficult." Sue's force field expanded reflexively, but she could feel her power straining. "Reed, please tell me you have a plan." Reed's mind worked at superhuman speed, processing variables, calculating odds, searching for the solution that would save his family. The holocron's data still streamed through his consciousness, showing him things about this galaxy's history, about the Forge, about the impossible connection between their universe and this one. And then he saw it, a single reference buried in 10,000-year-old records, a place where the Forge's creators had left something behind, not just data, but technology, a potential way home. "I have an idea," Reed said slowly, "but everyone's going to hate it." Reed Richards had always believed that the universe operated on rational principles, that every problem had a solution if you possessed sufficient data and processing capability. Standing in an ancient temple surrounded by mystical warriors, bounty hunters, and beings who wielded a fundamental force he couldn't fully explain, that belief faced its greatest test. "We need to reach the Celestial Forge," Reed announced, his words dropping into the tense standoff like a thermal detonator. "Not to activate it, to understand it. The holocron contains coordinates for a research facility the architects left behind, a place where we might find technology capable of reversing our dimensional displacement." "Absolutely not," the Keldor Jedi Master stated immediately. "The Forge's location has been hidden for 10,000 years precisely to prevent what's already happening," Reed interrupted, his voice sharp with frustration. "Master, I'm sorry, I don't know your name." "Plo Koon," the Jedi replied stiffly. "Master Plo Koon, your intentions are clearly honorable, but your approach is fundamentally flawed. You're treating us like a containable anomaly, but we're not. We're a cascading dimensional breach that's actively destabilizing your reality. Every second we remain here, the resonance grows stronger. Hiding us won't stop it. Understanding the mechanism might." Darth Nexus circled the perimeter of Sue's force field, like a predator studying prey. "The scientist speaks truth for once, though I suspect his motivations differ from mine. He wants to go home. I want to harness what he represents." His crimson lightsaber cast dancing shadows. "But perhaps our goals can align temporarily. The Forge holds answers we both seek. You want to ally with a Sith." Plo Koon's mechanical voice carried genuine disbelief. "I want to protect my family," Reed corrected. "If that means temporary cooperation with forces I don't trust, so be it. We've faced worse moral compromises." The Mandalorian commander's helmet tilted slightly, assessing the situation with practiced efficiency. "Philosophical debates are wasted breath. The bounty on your heads just tripled in the last hour. Half the galaxy's hunters are converging on these coordinates. You want to reach the Forge? You'll need a ship, supplies, and someone who knows how to navigate the Outer Rim without getting vaporized." "And you're offering your services?" Sue asked, her force field still held, but her tactical mind already evaluating options. "Out of the goodness of your heart?" "Out of profit," the Mandalorian replied bluntly. "Delivering you to the highest bidder is lucrative, but watching you activate ancient technology that might reshape the galaxy, that's the kind of legacy that makes clans legendary. I'm Ves Ordo, and my clan doesn't chase easy credits." Johnny descended from his aerial position, flames dimming to a controlled aura. "So let me get this straight. The space samurai want to study us. Darth Angry over there wants to weaponize us. And Boba Fett's cousin wants to profit from us. anyone here actually interested in helping us get home? The Jedi Order serves the Force and the greater good, Plo Koon stated. If returning you to your universe restores balance, we will aid you. But we cannot allow Sith manipulation of the Forge under any circumstances. Then we're at an impasse, Reed said, his analytical mind already formulating alternatives. Unless we establish ground rules, a temporary alliance based on mutual interest rather than trust. Ben Grimm laughed, a sound like grinding boulders. Reed, you're trying to negotiate with people who shoot lightning from their fingers and hunt folks for money. This ain't exactly a UN summit. Every negotiation is the same, Ben. Identify needs, establish boundaries, create incentives for cooperation. Reed's stretching fingers manipulated the holocron, projecting a three-dimensional star chart into the air above them. The Forge is located here, deep in what you call the unknown regions. According to this data, the journey requires navigating hyperspace routes that were abandoned millennia ago. Dangerous but not impossible. The unknown regions, Ves Ordo said with what might have been respect. You don't aim small, scientist. That's where entire fleets disappear, which is precisely why we need multiple skill sets, Reed continued, his strategic mind assembling the pieces. Jedi knowledge of the Force and ancient lore, Mandalorian combat expertise and navigation, Sith understanding of dark side corruption that might protect us from the Forge's influence, and our own capabilities that exist outside your conventional power structures. Darth Nexus's eyes gleamed with dark amusement. You're proposing we work together, light and dark, science and mysticism, all pursuing the same goal for wildly different reasons. I'm proposing we don't have a choice, Reed replied, because in approximately 6 hours, according to my calculations, the resonance signal we're broadcasting will reach critical intensity. At that point, forces far more powerful than bounty hunters will take notice. Tell me, Master Plo Koon, what happens when the Jedi Council learns about us? Do they send negotiators or containment teams? The Jedi Master's silence spoke volumes. Sue lowered her force field gradually, a calculated risk that demonstrated good faith while keeping her power ready to deploy instantly. We're not weapons. We're not tools. We're a family trying to survive in a universe that wasn't built for us. Help us reach the Forge. Help us understand what's happening, and maybe, just maybe, we can all get what we want. The woman has courage, Ves Ordo observed. Foolish courage, but courage nonetheless. My clan will provide transport and protection. Our price: first, documentation of the Forge's reactivation, historical exclusivity. The story alone will be worth more than any bounty. Plo Koon's breathing apparatus hissed with resignation. The Council will not approve this. But you're correct that containment is impossible. Very well. I and 2 of my knights will accompany you. But understand, if the Forge's activation threatens the galaxy, we will do what must be done. Meaning you'll try to kill us, Johnny translated bluntly. Meaning we'll prioritize the lives of trillions over 4, Plo Koon replied without apology. Darth Nexus's smile was cold and predatory. Then we have an accord. The Jedi watch for threats. The Mandalorians provide muscle. The 4 unlock the Forge's secrets. And I ensure none of you forget that power without ambition is wasted potential. What about the acolytes you brought? Sue asked pointedly. Expendable, Nexus said dismissively. Useful for testing your capabilities. They've served their purpose. The casual cruelty made Johnny's flames flicker with anger, but Reed placed a hand on his shoulder. Save it. We need him. For now. Ben cracked his massive knuckles, the sound like stones grinding together. This is the worst team-up since that time we worked with Doom, and that ended with him trying to steal our powers and take over the world. Hopefully this one goes better, Sue said, though her expression suggested she shared Ben's skepticism. Ves Ordo gestured toward the jungle, where a Mandalorian gunship waited, its engines already warming. "My ship can carry all of you. Hyperspace jump to the unknown regions requires specific calculations. We leave within the hour." As they prepared to depart the ancient temple, Reed took one last look at the mural depicting the four cosmic beings. The prophecy had called them saviors or destroyers, but standing here surrounded by uneasy allies and potential enemies, he wondered if there was a third option they hadn't considered. Perhaps they were neither saviors nor destroyers. Perhaps they were simply catalysts, agents of change in a galaxy that had been locked in its eternal light versus dark conflict for so long it had forgotten other possibilities existed. The Mandalorian gunship Kadika cut through hyperspace like a blade through silk, its ancient hyperdrive humming with power that predated the Galactic Republic. Inside the cramped cargo hold, an alliance built on necessity and mutual suspicion struggled to coexist. Jedi meditated in one corner, their presence a calm stillness that somehow made the space feel smaller. Darth Nexus occupied the opposite corner, his dark presence like a void that absorbed light and warmth. The Fantastic Four sat in between, literal and metaphorical bridges between opposing forces. Reed had commandeered a section of bulkhead, covering it with holographic projections from the ancient holocron. His elastic fingers traced patterns in the air, manipulating data streams, while his brilliant mind processed information faster than most beings could read it. Sue watched him work with familiar concern. She knew that expression, the way his eyes glazed slightly when his consciousness operated on multiple levels simultaneously. "You need to rest," she said quietly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I'm fine," Reed replied automatically, though his voice carried exhaustion. "The Forge's energy signature is more complex than I initially calculated. It's not just a structure, it's a dimensional anchor point. The architects built it to stabilize the barrier between universes, but our arrival is causing resonance feedback that's weakening those barriers across the entire galaxy." "In English, Doc?" Ben rumbled from his position near the cargo hold's reinforced floor. The ship's designers hadn't anticipated passengers made of sentient rock. Every movement he made caused structural groaning that put Vesordo's crew on edge. "We're not just affecting this universe. We're affecting the space between universes. If the Forge reaches full activation without proper calibration, it could create a cascade breach. Our universe and this one could start bleeding into each other." "That sounds bad," Johnny said from where he'd been carefully not igniting in the oxygen-controlled environment. "Like, end of everything bad." "Potentially," Reed admitted. "Or it could create a stable bridge." The architect's notes suggest they intended the Forge as a meeting point between realities, not a weapon. But their civilization collapsed before they completed the project. Plo Koon approached, his mechanical breathing the only sound besides the hyperdrive's hum. "This aligns with our oldest records. The architects vanished suddenly, leaving only ruins and warnings. The Jedi who discovered the Forge sealed it because they couldn't understand its purpose. We thought isolation was safety. Isolation is never safety," Reed replied. "It's just delayed confrontation with the inevitable." Darth Nexus's voice carried from his corner, dark and contemplative. "The Jedi fear what they cannot control. But you, Dr. Richards, you're like me. You see potential where others see danger. The Forge could reshape reality itself. Why limit ourselves to merely going home when we could remake both universes to our specifications?" Sue's force field flickered to life instinctively, a translucent barrier between her family and the Sith Lord. "Because some of us understand that godlike power in mortal hands always ends in tragedy. We've met beings who thought they could remake reality. They either destroyed themselves or became monsters. Or perhaps they simply weren't strong enough," Nexus countered. "You already wield power beyond this galaxy's comprehension. Your shields cancel the Force itself, something no being has ever accomplished. The boy burns with the heat of stars. The rock creature is immovable as a moon, and Dr. Richards sees patterns in reality that even Jedi Masters miss. You're wasted on simple survival. "We're a family," Johnny shot back, his temper flaring along with trace amounts of flame that made the ship's oxygen scrubbers work overtime. "Not a superweapon for your cosmic power trip." Before Nexus could respond, the ship lurched violently. Alarms shrieked through the hold as Ves Ordo's voice crackled over the intercom. "Hyperspace interdiction. We've got Imperial cruisers pulling us out of light speed. How in the void did they know our route?" Plo Koon's breathing apparatus hissed sharply. "The Empire. This complicates matters significantly." The Kadika dropped from hyperspace into a nightmare. 3 Imperial Star Destroyers hung in the void like titans, their grey hulls bristling with turbolaser batteries. Dozens of TIE fighters swarmed from their hangars, their distinctive solar panels catching starlight as they formed attack formations. "This is Captain Thrawn of the Imperial Navy," a cultured voice transmitted across all frequencies. "The beings aboard the Mandalorian vessel are wanted for questioning regarding disruptions to Imperial security. Surrender them immediately, or your ship will be disabled and boarded." Ves Ordo's response was immediate. "Mandalorian vessels bow to no empire. Try to take us if you dare. Courage without wisdom is merely another word for suicide," Thrawn replied calmly. "I've studied your people extensively, honor-bound, skilled warriors with predictable tactical responses. You'll attempt to run our blockade using your superior maneuverability. You'll fail. I've positioned my forces specifically to counter Mandalorian evasive patterns." Reed's mind raced through scenarios. He's analyzed Mandalorian tactics, probably has extensive data on their combat doctrine. We need to give him something he can't predict. "Like what?" Sue asked, already knowing her husband had a plan forming. "Like us." Reed turned to address everyone in the hold: Jedi, Sith, Mandalorians, and his family. "The Empire expects conventional warfare, ship-to-ship combat, fighter screens, boarding actions. They're not prepared for 4 beings who exist outside their understanding of power." Plo Koon shook his head. "You cannot survive in the vacuum of space. Even Force users require specialized equipment for—" "We survived cosmic radiation that should have killed us," Reed interrupted. "Our bodies adapted to energies that violate physics. Sue can generate force fields. Johnny's flames burn in environments where combustion should be impossible. Ben's physiology is more resilient than any material your galaxy has produced. And I can stretch my lungs to hold oxygen for extended periods. You want to spacewalk into an Imperial fleet," Ben stated flatly. "Reed, even for one of your plans, this is nuts. It's statistically our best option. The Star Destroyer's weapons are designed to target ships and fighters. Their targeting computers won't know how to track 4 human-sized targets moving independently through space. We can disable their tractor beams, confuse their sensor arrays, buy the Kadika time to escape." Darth Nexus's laugh was genuine and delighted. "Magnificent. You're not just scientists, you're warriors who fight with physics as weapons. The Empire will chronicle this day as the moment they encountered beings beyond their comprehension." Ves Ordo's voice crackled through the intercom again. "Reinforcements arriving. They brought more than we can handle. Whatever you're planning, do it now." Sue looked at Reed, then at Johnny and Ben. In that moment, unspoken communication passed between them. The understanding forged through years of facing impossible odds together. They'd fought gods, dimensional invaders, and cosmic entities. An Imperial fleet was just another Tuesday. "Together?" Sue asked. "Always," Reed confirmed. The cargo hold's airlock cycled open, revealing the stars beyond and the massive Imperial vessels bearing down on them. The Fantastic Four stepped toward the void, their cosmic powers igniting as they prepared to show this galaxy what happened when science and family collided with tyranny. Behind them, Plo Koon whispered to his fellow Jedi, "May the Force be with them." And Darth Nexus smiled, watching his pieces move across the galactic board. The void of space embraced the Fantastic Four like a long-lost home. Sue Storm's force field expanded into a shimmering sphere that encapsulated all four of them, maintaining pressure and recycling their oxygen with efficiency that would have made Imperial engineers weep with envy. Through the translucent barrier, the three Star Destroyers loomed like mechanical leviathans, their hulls stretching kilometers in each direction. "Okay," Johnny said, his voice carrying through Sue's field even in the vacuum. "We're in space, fighting an empire, in a galaxy that's not ours. This is officially the weirdest Tuesday we've ever had." "Focus," Sue commanded, her concentration split between maintaining life support and tactical assessment. "Reed, what's the plan?" Reed's body had already begun adapting, his elastic form stretched thin to reduce his profile, while his lungs expanded to hold nearly an hour's worth of oxygen. The Star Destroyers operate on predictable patterns. Command ship in the center, 2 support vessels flanking. Their tractor beam projectors are located here, here, and here. His stretching finger pointed to barely visible arrays on each ship's hull. "Disable those, and the Kadika can escape." "And the hundreds of TIE fighters?" Ben asked, his rocky form casting an impossible shadow in the starlight. "That's where Johnny comes in." Johnny Storm grinned, flames already igniting across his body despite the vacuum. His cosmic radiation-enhanced fire didn't need oxygen. It burned reality itself, a miniature star contained in human form. "Finally, someone appreciates my talents." Aboard the lead Star Destroyer's bridge, Captain Thrawn stood before the viewport with hands clasped behind his back, his red eyes studying the tactical display with the precision of a master strategist analyzing a painting. The Chiss officer's blue skin seemed to glow in the harsh bridge lighting as he processed information that made his human subordinates shift nervously. "Captain, we're detecting 4 small objects that have exited the Mandalorian vessel," a sensor officer reported. "Mass suggests human-sized, but the energy signatures are inconsistent with any known technology." Thrawn's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The display magnified, revealing 4 figures moving through space under their own power, one surrounded by a shimmer of energy, one blazing with impossible fire, one massive and rocky, and one whose body seemed to defy conventional shape. Thrawn's brilliant mind catalogued the impossibility in microseconds. "Fascinating," he murmured. "Beings who exist in vacuum without support systems." The reports from Jedi sources were accurate. He turned to his tactical officer. "All batteries, fire at will. TIE squadrons, engage. I want them captured intact if possible, but prioritize preventing their escape." The void erupted with emerald turbo laser fire. Sue's force field blazed with intensity as energy bolts capable of vaporizing starfighters hammered against it. Each impact sent shockwaves through her concentration, but she held firm, her cosmic-enhanced powers drawing on reserves she hadn't known she possessed. The Star Wars galaxy's ambient force energy actually strengthened her barriers, the pervasive field providing additional structure for her shields to anchor against. "Sue's got this!" Johnny shouted, then launched himself from the protective bubble like a missile. His flames transformed into a stellar corona, burning with intensity that registered on every sensor within a light minute. The first TIE squadron to intercept him simply disintegrated, their solar panels melting, their pilots flash-fried before they could even scream. "Target the flame wielder!" Thrawn commanded, his tactical mind already adapting. "Concentrate fire, suppress his mobility. Do not allow him to reach the hangar bays." But Johnny Storm had fought in 3 dimensions his entire career. He twisted through the turbo laser barrage like a dancer, leaving trails of cosmic fire that confused tracking sensors and blinded pursuit craft. When a squadron of TIE interceptors tried to box him in, he went supernova, a brief, intense burst that created an expanding sphere of plasma that caught 24 fighters at once. Meanwhile, Ben Grimm had taken the direct approach. His rocky body, immune to the cold and radiation of space, simply aimed himself at the nearest Star Destroyer and kicked off from Sue's force field with enough force to propel him like a living artillery shell. He struck the massive ship's hull at terminal velocity, his impact creating a crater that breached 3 decks and sent shockwaves through the superstructure. Inside the ship, alarms shrieked as atmosphere vented from the impact site. Stormtroopers rushed to the breach, only to watch in horror as an orange, rocky hand gripped the torn metal and pulled. Ben Grimm tore his way into the Star Destroyer, like opening a particularly stubborn can, his massive form blocking the breach behind him as he entered the corridor. "Okay," Ben announced to the shocked Imperial troops. "Who's in charge of the tractor beams? We can do this the easy way or the fun way. Personally, I'm hoping for fun." The stormtroopers opened fire. Blaster bolts ricocheted harmlessly off Ben's rocky hide, their energy dissipating without leaving so much as a scorch mark. Ben sighed, cracked his knuckles, and proceeded to demonstrate why cosmic radiation-enhanced strength was a poor match for Imperial military hardware. Reed Richards approached the problem with characteristic analytical precision. His elastic body stretched between all 3 Star Destroyers, his form so thin in places that sensors couldn't detect him. He'd identified the tractor beam projectors' weak points within seconds of studying their configuration. Power conduits exposed just enough to be vulnerable if you could reach them with millimeter precision. His fingers, stretched to impossible lengths, inserted themselves into access ports and began systematically sabotaging the Imperial technology. Not destroying it, Reed Richards didn't destroy when he could reprogram. Within minutes, the tractor beams that should have locked onto the Kadika instead began targeting each other, creating a feedback loop that would take Imperial engineers hours to untangle. On the bridge, Thrawn watched his perfect strategy collapse in real time. His red eyes tracked each member of the Fantastic Four, his brilliant tactical mind processing their capabilities and searching for weaknesses. Most commanders would have panicked. Thrawn felt only fascination. "Recall all fighters," he ordered calmly. "Redirect power to shields and prepare my shuttle." "Sir?" his executive officer asked in confusion. "These beings are not enemies to be destroyed," Thrawn explained, his cultured voice carrying certainty. "They're a phenomenon to be understood, and I intend to speak with them directly." Sue felt the shift in tactics immediately. The turbolaser fire ceased, TIE fighters withdrew, and the Star Destroyer's shields intensified. Her instincts screamed warning. This was wrong. Too easy. A trap waiting to close. "Reed, something's changed," she transmitted through their comm link. "They've stopped attacking." "I noticed," Reed replied, his stretched form already retracting towards Sue's position. "Ben, Johnny, regroup, now." As the Fantastic Four reunited within Sue's protective barrier, a single Imperial shuttle emerged from the command ship's hangar. It approached slowly, no weapons active, its trajectory clearly non-threatening. The message was obvious. "Let's talk." "It's a trap," Johnny stated flatly. "Probably," Reed agreed. "But he's already demonstrated he can't capture us by force. Now he's trying diplomacy, which means he's dangerous in a completely different way." The shuttle transmitted on an open frequency. "Dr. Richards, Ms. Storm, Mr. Grimm, Mr. Storm, I am Captain Thrawn. I believe we have much to discuss. The Empire's interest in you is not hostile. We simply wish to understand what you are and why you're here. Surely that aligns with your own goals." Sue looked at Reed, saw the calculation in his eyes. "He's right. We need information about this galaxy, and he clearly has access to Imperial resources. He's also probably recording everything to figure out how to neutralize us," Ben countered. Let him try, Reed said. We meet with him, but we do it on our terms. The Kadika's main hold transformed into a makeshift diplomatic chamber, though diplomatic seemed generous, given the weapons pointed at various parties and the palpable tension thick enough to cut with a lightsaber. Captain Thrawn stood at the center, his blue hands clasped behind his back, red eyes studying everyone present with the intensity of a predator evaluating prey, or an artist studying a masterwork. Remarkable, Thrawn said, his cultured voice carrying genuine appreciation. A Jedi Master, a Sith Lord, Mandalorian warriors, and 4 beings who exist outside the Force entirely. This gathering represents every major power structure in the galaxy, united by circumstances none of you control. Fascinating. You didn't come here to admire the guest list, Sue said, her arms crossed defensively. She'd positioned herself between Thrawn and her family, every instinct screaming that this blue-skinned commander was more dangerous than all the turbo lasers they'd just faced. What does the Empire want? The same thing everyone wants when confronted with the unprecedented: understanding. Thrawn gestured to a holographic display he'd been permitted to activate, showing recordings of the Fantastic Four's assault on his fleet. You disabled 3 Star Destroyers without destroying them. You avoided casualties despite ample opportunity. This suggests either remarkable restraint or strategic thinking beyond simple combat. Or maybe we're not murderers, Johnny said, flames flickering along his shoulders, despite Ves Ordo's pointed look at the oxygen recyclers. Precisely my point. Thrawn's attention focused on Johnny. You burn with fire that shouldn't exist in vacuum, yet you controlled it. When TIE fighters engaged you, you disabled rather than destroyed when possible. The Sith would have reveled in slaughter. The Jedi would have avoided conflict entirely. You chose a middle path. His gaze shifted to Ben. And you, Mr. Grimm, you breached a Star Destroyer's hull, terrified 3 platoons of stormtroopers, then systematically disabled the tractor beam systems without killing a single Imperial. Efficiency and mercy in equal measure. What's your point? Ben growled, uncomfortable with the analysis. My point is that you're not conquerors. Despite possessing power to subjugate systems, you're not saviors. Despite clearly possessing heroic inclinations, you're survivors adapting to circumstances while maintaining principles. Thrawn's expression shifted subtly, what might have been a smile on a human face. The Empire could use beings of such caliber. Absolutely not, Reed said immediately. I haven't made an offer yet. You don't need to. We've encountered fascist regimes in our universe, governments that offer order through oppression, stability through fear. The answer is always no. Thrawn's red eyes gleamed with something like respect. You judge without full information. The Empire brings law to a galaxy that was collapsing under its own corruption. The Republic that preceded us was dying, bureaucratic, inefficient, controlled by corporate interests and religious zealots. We offer certainty at the cost of freedom, Sue countered. We've seen your stormtroopers, clone soldiers programmed for absolute obedience. That's not law. That's slavery with better branding. Philosophical disagreements aside, Thrawn continued, unfazed by the rejection. You possess information the Empire requires. The dimensional breach you created is expanding. Our scientists have detected anomalies across 17 systems, reality fluctuations, spatial distortions, objects appearing that shouldn't exist. You're not just visitors. You're an infection spreading through the fabric of this galaxy. Plo Koon stepped forward, his mechanical breathing sharp. The Empire knew about the dimensional instabilities? How long have you been monitoring? Since the moment they arrived, Thrawn interrupted. Did you think the Jedi's mystical force was the only detection method in the galaxy? Imperial intelligence has assets everywhere, including monitoring ancient Jedi sites for exactly this type of anomaly. When the temple on Korriban activated, we knew immediately. Korriban? Reed's mind cataloged the name. That's the planet we arrived on? Significant? The ancient Sith homeworld, Darth Nexus supplied, his voice carrying dark amusement. How poetic. The four arrive on ground soaked in dark side energy for millennia. No wonder your powers mutated so dramatically. Reed's face paled. The ambient force energy. We thought it was enhancing our abilities randomly, but if Korriban is saturated with concentrated dark side energy, then you've been absorbing Sith resonance since you arrived, Nexus finished. Tell me, young Storm, have your flames been burning hotter, more aggressive, harder to control? Johnny's expression shifted from defiance to uncertainty. His flames had been different, more reactive, more volatile. He'd attributed it to stress, but "You're trying to manipulate him," Sue said sharply, her force field flickering to life between Nexus and Johnny. Classic divide and conquer tactics. We're not falling for it. I'm stating observable fact, Nexus replied calmly. The Forge calls to them because they carry cosmic radiation that predates the Force. But they've been marinating in dark side energy since arrival. The boy is particularly susceptible. Young, passionate, already inclined toward emotional response rather than calculated thought. The perfect candidate for... Ben's massive hand clamped around Nexus's throat, lifting the Sith Lord off the deck with casual strength. Finish that sentence and see what happens. Crimson lightning crackled across Nexus's body, but it earthed harmlessly through Ben's rocky form. For the first time since boarding, genuine fear flickered across the Sith Lord's face as he realized his Force abilities were utterly useless against this being. Ben, put him down, Reed commanded softly. He's trying to provoke exactly this response. Don't give him the satisfaction. Ben held Nexus suspended for another long moment before dropping him unceremoniously. The Sith Lord stumbled, regaining composure but noticeably keeping distance from the thing afterward. Thrawn observed the entire exchange with analytical detachment. You see? This is precisely why the Empire needs you contained or allied. Your presence destabilizes established power structures. The Jedi fear you. The Sith covet you. And beings like me simply want to understand how you fit into the galactic order. We don't, Sue said firmly. We're not part of your order. We're not pieces on your strategic board. We're people trying to go home, and anyone who gets in our way, Empire, Jedi, Sith, or bounty hunters, will regret it. Threats without follow-through are merely noise, Thrawn observed. But threats backed by demonstrated capability, those deserve respect. Very well. I came here to offer cooperation, but I see you're determined to pursue your own path. A word of warning then. The Celestial Forge you seek lies in territory the Empire has been unable to fully map. Dangerous space where entire expeditions vanish. If you truly intend to reach it, you'll need more than power. You'll need intelligence about what protects it. And you'll provide this intelligence out of pure altruism? Reed asked skeptically. I'll provide it because watching you attempt to breach the Forge's defenses will yield data worth more than your capture. I'm a collector of art and knowledge, Dr. Richards. You represent both. Thrawn produced a data chip from his uniform. Coordinates for the safest approach vector. Imperial survey data from 3 failed expeditions, and sensor logs of something that guards the Forge. Something that destroyed 2 Star Destroyers before we withdrew. Reed's analytical mind warred with suspicion. The data could be genuine or an elaborate trap, but they needed information, and Thrawn clearly wasn't bluffing about the Forge's defenses. Why help us? Sue asked. Thrawn's smile was cold and calculating. Because I believe you'll succeed where others failed. And when you do, when the Celestial Forge activates fully, I want the Empire positioned to benefit from whatever emerges. Call it an investment in an uncertain future. He placed the data chip on the hold's central table, then turned to leave. At the airlock, he paused. One final observation. The four of you maintain remarkable cohesion despite external pressure. Family bonds that transcend tactical advantage. In my studies of military history, such bonds are either your greatest strength or your most exploitable weakness. I wonder which you'll prove to be. The airlock cycled, and Thrawn's shuttle departed, leaving the Kadika in tense silence. Ves Ordo broke it first. Well, that was deeply unsettling. I need a drink. The unknown regions earned their name. Beyond the mapped hyperspace lanes and charted star systems, reality itself seemed to fray at the edges. The Kadika traveled through space where stars formed impossible geometries, where gravitational forces defied standard physics, and where the Force itself whispered warnings that even Plo Koon couldn't fully interpret. Reed stood at the ship's sensor station, studying the data Thrawn had provided while cross-referencing it with the ancient holocron's information. The two sources painted a disturbing picture. The Celestial Forge wasn't just protected by distance or dangerous space. It was protected by something that had destroyed every expedition attempting to reach it. 2 star destroyers, Reed muttered, his elastic fingers manipulating holographic displays. Thousands of crew, state-of-the-art Imperial technology, gone in minutes. The sensor logs show massive energy discharges, then nothing. Whatever guards the forge doesn't leave survivors. Sue approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. She could feel the tension radiating from her husband, the weight of responsibility he always carried, magnified by their impossible situation. We've faced impossible odds before. Never like this, Reed replied quietly. In our universe, we understood the rules. Physics, energy, matter, everything followed principles we could measure and predict. Here, the Force defies conventional science. The Forge operates on principles that predate this galaxy's physics. We're fighting blind, Sue. Then we do what we always do. We improvise, adapt, and survive. Together. Before Reed could respond, the ship lurched violently. Alarms shrieked through the corridors as Ves Ordo's voice crackled over the intercom. We've arrived at the coordinates, and we've got company. The main viewport revealed their destination, and the horror protecting it. The Celestial Forge hung in space like a wound in reality itself. It wasn't a structure in the conventional sense, but rather a geometric impossibility that hurt to look at directly. Crystalline spires twisted through dimensions that shouldn't exist, connected by energy bridges that pulsed with the same cosmic radiation that had transformed the Fantastic Four. The entire construct seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting in rhythm with something vast and incomprehensible. And surrounding it, like antibodies protecting an organism, were the Guardians. They defied description. Massive entities that seemed partially phased out of normal space, their forms shifting between solid matter and pure energy. Each Guardian was easily the size of a star destroyer, their surfaces covered in the same crystalline patterns that adorned the forge itself. They moved with terrible purpose, their very presence causing sensor equipment to scream warnings. "The Architect's defense system," Plo Koon breathed, his mechanical voice carrying genuine awe. "The ancient texts mentioned guardians, but we thought them mythological. They were designed to prevent anyone from reaching the forge until the prophesied Four arrived." "So they'll recognize us?" Johnny asked hopefully. One of the guardians turned toward the Kadika, its crystalline surface focusing like an enormous eye. Energy began building across its form, the same energy signature that had vaporized Imperial capital ships. "Guess not," Johnny ignited, ready to launch himself at the threat. "Wait," Reed shouted, his mind racing through the holocron's data. "They're not attacking, they're scanning. They're trying to verify our cosmic radiation signature, but the ship's hull is interfering with their sensors. So, what do we do? Ben asked, already moving toward the airlock. We do what Thrawn predicted, Reed said grimly. We go out there and prove we're who the prophecy says we are. The Fantastic Four stepped into the void once more, Sue's force field protecting them as they moved away from the Kadika toward the Guardians. The massive entities tracked their movement, their crystalline surfaces pulsing with increased intensity as they detected the cosmic radiation signature they'd been programmed to recognize across millennia. Then, impossibly, the Guardians spoke. Not with voices, but with resonance that bypassed ears entirely, vibrating directly through their cosmic-enhanced bodies. The Four return. The cycle continues. The Forge awakens. The nearest Guardian extended what might have been an appendage, a bridge of crystalline energy that connected to Sue's force field. Information flooded their minds, images of the architects, beings of pure thought who had existed before the Force crystallized into its current form. The First Light, a primordial event that had seeded multiple universes with energy that would eventually evolve into both the Force and the cosmic radiation of the Marvel Universe. The Forge, built as a bridge between realities, sealed when the architects realized their creation was too dangerous for lesser beings to wield. And the prophecy. 4 beings who carried the scattered essence of the First Light would eventually emerge, drawn across dimensional barriers by the Forge's call. They alone could activate it without being consumed, because they were the missing key, living embodiments of the cosmic energy the architects had once commanded. We're not just connected to the Forge, Reed realized, his voice shaking. We are the Forge, or part of it. The cosmic radiation that transformed us, it was never random. It was the First Light recognizing itself, trying to return home. Enter, complete the cycle, restore what was sundered. The Guardians parted, creating a path through their defensive formation directly to the Forge's entrance. The invitation was clear, undeniable, and terrifying. Aboard the Kadika, Darth Nexus smiled with dark satisfaction. They're being welcomed. The prophecy unfolds exactly as the ancient texts predicted. Soon the Forge will activate, and power beyond comprehension will be within reach. Plo Koon's breathing apparatus hissed with concern. If they enter the Forge and activate it without understanding its full purpose, then reality reshapes itself. Ves Ordo finished. Either both universes stabilize, or they tear each other apart. Quite the gamble. Inside Sue's force field, the Fantastic Four faced their moment of truth. We don't have to do this, Sue said softly. We could turn back, find another way home. There is no other way, Reed replied, his analytical mind having already processed every alternative. The dimensional breach is expanding. Thrawn was right. We're destabilizing this galaxy by our mere presence. The only way to stop it is to reach the Forge and either seal the breach or stabilize it permanently. And if stabilizing it means we can never go home? Johnny asked, voicing the fear they'd all been avoiding. Ben's rocky features softened with something that might have been acceptance. Then we make the best of it, together, like we always do. Sue looked at each of them, her husband, her brother, her friend, and felt the weight of family that transcended universes. They'd been transformed by cosmic radiation, granted impossible powers, and hurled across dimensional barriers. But through everything, they'd remained what mattered most, a family. Together, she agreed. They moved toward the Forge's entrance, a crystalline aperture that pulsed with welcoming light. As they crossed the threshold, Reed's scientific instruments registered energy levels that exceeded anything he'd ever measured. The structure recognized them at a cellular level, resonating with the cosmic radiation in their bodies. Inside, the Forge was impossibly vast, a cathedral of crystalline technology that stretched across dimensions. At its center floated a sphere of pure energy, the heart of the first light itself, and surrounding it, holographic interfaces awaited activation, showing star charts of both universes, energy flow patterns, dimensional barrier configurations. "It's a control system," Reed breathed in awe. "The architects built this to manage the boundaries between realities, to prevent universes from colliding while allowing controlled exchange of energy and information. But the controls were incomplete. Sections remained dark, inactive, waiting for something the architects had never finished. And as the Fantastic Four approached the central sphere, they understood why. The forge didn't need operators, it needed completion. The sphere pulsed, and tendrils of cosmic energy reached toward them, not threatening, but seeking, trying to reconnect with the scattered fragments of first light that lived within their bodies. If they accepted the connection, they would become permanent parts of the forge, living bridges between universes. They would stabilize reality itself, but they would never leave, never return home, never be fully human again. "Reed," Sue whispered, fear and determination warring in her voice. "Tell me there's another option." Reed's brilliant mind worked frantically, analyzing the forge's systems, searching for alternatives. And then he saw it, a slim possibility, a configuration the architects had considered but never implemented. "There might be," he said slowly, "but it requires perfect timing, absolute trust, and a willingness to risk everything." "So, a normal Tuesday," Ben rumbled. Reed Richards had solved countless impossible equations throughout his career, but the mathematics of the Celestial Forge transcended anything his brilliant mind had encountered. The holographic interfaces surrounding the central energy sphere displayed formulae that existed in 12 dimensions simultaneously, showing relationships between universes as if they were variables in a cosmic algorithm. He stretched his consciousness across the data streams, his elastic mind adapting to comprehend patterns that would have driven lesser intellects mad. "The architects intended the forge to be permanent," Reed explained, his hands manipulating controls that responded to the cosmic radiation in his cells. "A living bridge between realities stabilized by beings who carried fragments of the first light. But they never completed the design because they couldn't solve the recursion problem." "In English, Reed," Ben said, his rocky form positioned protectively near the entrance as the Guardians maintained their vigil outside. "Every universe generates unique energy, what we call cosmic radiation, what they call the Force. These energies are incompatible. When universes touch, they create interference patterns that eventually tear both apart." Reed's fingers danced across crystalline interfaces, pulling up schematics that showed two universes connected by a thin bridge, a bridge that was buckling under mounting pressure. The forge was meant to filter that interference, but the architects ran out of time. Their civilization collapsed before they could implement the final solution. "Which is?" Sue asked, though dread coiled in her stomach, because she already knew what her husband was about to propose. "A controlled detonation. We use the first light energy in our bodies to create a cascade that temporarily destabilizes both universes' boundaries, not enough to destroy them, but enough to reset the interference pattern, like rebooting a computer that's frozen." Plo Koon's voice crackled through their communicators from the Kadika. "You're suggesting temporarily destabilizing two entire universes. The consequences could be catastrophic." "The consequences of doing nothing are guaranteed catastrophe," Reed countered. "The dimensional breach is expanding exponentially. Within 72 hours, reality collapse becomes irreversible. This is the only solution that doesn't require us to sacrifice our humanity by merging permanently with the Forge." Johnny floated near his sister, flames subdued but ready. "And the catch?" "There's always a catch with your plans. The energy release required to reset the interference pattern is significant." equivalent to a supernova but distributed across dimensional boundaries rather than physical space. We'll need to channel it through our bodies, using our cosmic radiation as a conduit. The forge will amplify our power, but we might not survive it, Sue finished quietly. The silence that followed carried the weight of impossible choices. They could merge with the forge, become living cosmic bridges, and save both universes while losing everything that made them human. Or they could attempt Reed's plan, risk annihilation, but potentially save both universes while remaining themselves. "I vote for Reed's crazy plan," Ben said finally. "Been with you this long, might as well see it through." "Same," Johnny agreed, his usual bravado subdued by genuine courage. "We're the Fantastic Four. We don't half-ass universe saving." Sue looked at Reed, seeing the calculations behind his eyes, but also the fear, not of death, but of failing the family he loved more than any scientific achievement. "Together," she said simply. Reed's expression softened with gratitude and love. "Together." He input the final commands, and the forge responded with a sound like reality singing. The central sphere pulsed with increasing intensity as systems that had lain dormant for millennia activated in sequence. Energy conduits blazed to life throughout the crystalline cathedral, channeling power from sources that transcended conventional space-time. Outside the forge, the Guardians began to move in perfect synchronization, their massive forms arranging themselves into a geometric pattern that would focus and direct the coming energy release. Aboard the Kadika, alarms shrieked warnings about impossible energy readings. "Get us clear!" Ves Ordo shouted to his crew. "Full power to engines, maximum distance." But Darth Nexus moved with dark purpose. His lightsaber ignited, cutting through a Mandalorian warrior as he sprinted toward the ship's auxiliary craft. "The forge activates. I will not be denied my destiny." Plo Koon's lightsaber met Nexus's blade, blue plasma crackling against crimson. "You'll kill us all. The Four know what they're doing." "They're children playing with cosmic forces," Nexus snarled, dark side energy crackling around him. "I will take what they're too weak to claim." Their duel raged across the Kadika's hold, even as Ves Ordo fought to pilot his ship away from the building cataclysm. Inside the forge, the Fantastic Four positioned themselves around the central sphere in a pattern Reed had calculated with perfect precision. Sue's force fields would contain and shape the energy. Johnny's cosmic fire would provide the initial ignition. Ben would anchor the release, preventing premature detonation, and Reed would coordinate it all, his elastic mind stretched across the forge's systems to time everything with nanosecond accuracy. "On my mark," Reed said, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were attempting. "Sue, establish containment fields. Ben, ground yourself to the forge's foundation. Johnny, begin charging but don't ignite until I give the word." They moved into position, each drawing on powers enhanced by this galaxy's force energy and their own cosmic radiation. Sue's force fields expanded into complex geometric patterns that interlaced with the forge's energy channels. Ben planted himself against crystalline pillars that had stood for billions of years, becoming an immovable anchor point. Johnny's flames built in intensity, transforming from orange to white to colors that had no names, approaching stellar fusion temperatures. Reed's consciousness expanded, interfacing directly with the forge's systems through the cosmic radiation that permeated his cells. He could see everything, both universes laid out before him like vast equations waiting to be solved. The Marvel Universe with its cosmic radiation, its heroes and villains, its Earth. The Star Wars galaxy with its force, its endless conflicts between light and dark, its countless worlds. Two realities pressing against each other, creating interference that would eventually destroy both, unless four people who should never have existed found the courage to become the solution. "Now!" Reed shouted. Johnny ignited. His flames exploded outward with the fury of a newborn star, channeled through the forge's amplification systems and shaped by Sue's force fields into a directed cascade of pure cosmic energy. The first light recognized itself in that fire, responded to it, and began the cascade Reed had calculated. The forge's central sphere shattered, not breaking, but transforming, its concentrated energy dispersing through dimensional channels that connected both universes. Reality itself rippled as the interference pattern reset, boundaries between universes stabilizing into new configurations that could coexist without destroying each other. But the energy backlash was more intense than Reed had predicted. The Fantastic Four's bodies blazed with power that exceeded even their enhanced limits. Pain beyond description flooded through them as cosmic radiation and force energy fought for dominance within their cells. Sue screamed, her force fields fracturing under impossible strain. Ben roared, his rocky form beginning to crack like geological fault lines under tectonic pressure. Johnny's flames flickered between existence and obliteration, and Reed felt his elastic body stretch beyond recovery, threatening to disperse into quantum foam. In that moment of ultimate crisis, something unexpected happened. The Force itself responded. Not the light side or dark side, but something deeper. The primal energy that had been born from the first light billions of years ago. It recognized the Four not as invaders, but as kin, fragments of its own origin. And it did what the Force had always done when confronted with impossible balance. It adapted. Energy flowed from the Star Wars galaxy into the Fantastic Four, not overwhelming them but supporting them, stabilizing their transformation. In return, their cosmic radiation flowed outward, seeding the Force with new possibilities, new potentials that had never existed in this galaxy before. The exchange lasted microseconds but felt like eternity. When it ended, the Fantastic Four collapsed around the now dormant central sphere, their bodies smoking but alive, fundamentally changed, yet still themselves. And across both universes, every Force-sensitive being felt it, a harmonic shift, a new resonance in the cosmic symphony. The Force would never be quite the same. Neither would the cosmic radiation of the Marvel Universe. Two realities had touched, exchanged energy, and found balance. The celestial forge fell silent, its crystalline spires dimming to a gentle luminescence that pulsed in rhythm with something vast and peaceful. The guardians outside ceased their geometric dance, their massive forms settling into dormant configurations around the structure like ancient sentinels resuming their eternal watch. The crisis had passed. Two universes, pressed dangerously close to mutual annihilation, now existed in stable equilibrium, forever changed by four people who had refused to accept impossible odds. Reed Richards was the first to stir, his elastic body slowly regaining coherent form after being stretched across dimensional boundaries. He ran diagnostic checks on himself with scientific detachment, cataloging the changes. His cellular structure had been permanently altered, infused with trace amounts of force energy that existed in quantum superposition with his cosmic radiation. He could feel it, a new awareness of the galaxy around him. Not force sensitivity in the traditional sense, but something adjacent, an understanding of patterns that transcended pure mathematics. Sue Storm helped Johnny to his feet, her protective instincts overriding her own exhaustion. Her brother's flames had dimmed to barely visible flickers, but he was alive, breathing, whole. Her force fields, she realized, now resonated differently. They could still cancel force abilities, but there was a harmonic quality to them now, as if her power had learned to speak the galaxy's language while maintaining its own unique accent. Ben Grimm stood slowly, his rocky form showing hairline fractures that glowed with residual energy before sealing themselves. Everyone in one piece. His voice carried its usual gruff concern, but there was something else, a depth, a weight, as if the experience of anchoring a multiversal energy release had fundamentally altered his perception of what immovable truly meant. "We're alive," Sue confirmed, pulling her family into an embrace that felt like coming home despite being trillions of light years from Earth. Against all odds, we're still us. The Kadika approached cautiously, Ves Ordo's voice crackling through their communicators with uncharacteristic relief. "I don't know what you just did, but every sensor in 3 systems registered it. You crazy, magnificent beings actually stabilized a dimensional breach. My clan will sing songs about this for generations." Aboard the ship, Plo Koon stood at the viewport, his mechanical breathing steady, but his presence radiating something the Jedi Master had rarely experienced: awe. "The Force has changed, subtly but undeniably. I can feel new possibilities, new paths that didn't exist before. You've given the galaxy a gift beyond measure, choice beyond the binary of light and dark." In the hold's corner, Darth Nexus sat restrained, his ambitions thwarted, but his dark mind already calculating future opportunities. The Sith Lord had witnessed power that transcended anything his order had achieved, and the knowledge would haunt and inspire him in equal measure. As the Fantastic Four returned to the Kadika, Reed examined the data the Forge had imprinted into his consciousness during their connection. The path home was there, not immediate, but possible. The Forge had created a stable bridge between universes, one that could be traversed with the right technology and understanding. It would take time to build the necessary equipment, perhaps months or even years, but they could return home. The question was whether they should. "The galaxy knows about us now," Sue said quietly, as they gathered in the ship's observation deck, watching the celestial forge recede into the distance. Jedi, Sith, Empire, Mandalorians, everyone will have questions, demands, expectations. "Let them question," Johnny replied, his confidence returning along with his flames. "We proved we're not anyone's weapon or tool. We're just 4 people trying to do the right thing. 4 people who changed the fundamental nature of 2 universes," Reed added, though his tone carried wonder rather than burden. "The implications are staggering. The Force and cosmic radiation can now coexist, exchange energy, potentially even hybridize. We've created a bridge not just between realities, but between different understandings of power itself." Ben looked out at the alien stars, his rocky features contemplative. "So what now? We build your dimensional doohickey and go home? Pretend none of this happened?" "We could never pretend this didn't happen," Sue said. "But going home, yes, eventually. This isn't our galaxy, Ben. We have responsibilities, people who need us, a universe that's probably wondering where the Fantastic Four disappeared to. But not yet," Reed added, surprising everyone. "The Forge gave me knowledge, information about this galaxy's technology, its history, its potential. We've been given a unique opportunity to learn from a civilization that evolved completely differently from ours. The scientific insights alone could advance our understanding by centuries. Plus," Johnny grinned, "we kind of owe it to these folks to stick around and make sure our cosmic mojo didn't break anything permanently. Call it the Fantastic Four guarantee. You break it, you fix it." Sue smiled despite herself. Her family, faced with the impossible, had somehow found a way to remain exactly who they'd always been. "All right, we stay for a while. We learn, we help where we can, and we make sure the bridge between universes remains stable. Then, when we're ready, we go home." Across the galaxy, beings of power felt the shift and understood that something fundamental had changed. The Jedi Council would debate for decades about the theological implications of Force users whose power existed outside their understanding. The Sith would obsess over the cosmic radiation that had proven immune to their manipulation. The Empire would file reports about beings who defied every strategic paradigm Captain Thrawn had ever studied. But in the end, The legacy of the Fantastic Four's arrival in the Star Wars galaxy would be simpler and more profound than any faction could control. They had proven that power without family was hollow, that science and mysticism could coexist, and that even when thrown across dimensional barriers into an alien universe, the choice to remain human, to remain good, was always possible. The celestial forge pulsed one final time in the darkness of the unknown regions, its ancient purpose fulfilled at last. The first light, scattered across universes billions of years ago, had found its missing pieces and achieved balance. Two realities that should never have touched now existed in harmony, forever changed by four people who had simply refused to give up on each other. In the observation deck of a Mandalorian gunship, Reed Richards put his arm around his wife. Ben Grimm shared a companionable silence with Johnny Storm, and the Fantastic Four, impossibly far from home yet somehow exactly where they needed to be, watched alien stars shine with light that was no longer quite as alien as it had been. They had arrived as invaders, been prophesied as destroyers or saviors, and ultimately proven themselves to be something far more dangerous to tyranny and far more valuable to hope. A family that chose compassion over power, understanding over conquest, and each other over everything else. The galaxy far, far away would never be the same, and perhaps, in ways both universes were only beginning to understand, that was exactly what both needed. May the Force be with you. More stories await.